Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small-town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hello, All Things Excellence fam. Welcome to our week where we have dedicated it to the Enneagram Fives. And today I have our five with us, and this is my friend, Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey.
And this is an extra special person to have on because we'll get to this in a second. But basically, when Stephanie and I really started becoming good friends, you said we were standing in a bathroom? She
Yeah,
tried to
this
tell
was
me.
like before we even knew each other, standing in a
Okay.
bathroom.
We
Like,
were
wait,
not friends. We were
no.
not even friends. We were acquaintances. And she was like, I'm a 3. And I was like, no, you're not, apparently. Right? How does the story go?
We're talking about something. We're talking about Enneagram 8s, I think. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a 3. And you were like, no, you're not. And I was like, I
You don't
am.
even know me. What did you really think in that
Wait.
moment?
I was like, hello, I don't really know you, but okay.
All right.
Turns out a decade later, you were right. Yeah.
But now now you know me well enough to know. Again, y'all do not type your friends. You should never type people ever because the Enneagram is not about behavior. It is about motivation. But people who know me really, really, really well and know the Enneagram and have watched me work with people with the Enneagram, you know that I have I don't know, a thing.
Just a sense. Like, you just know. And
Uh-huh.
you're usually right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I may not know what people are, but I know what they're not.
Yeah.
Because there is my body, I guess I always say like my body kind of senses a different vibration with the different types. So yes, I knew that you were not a 3. I knew you were not a 3. So okay, so diving in, you guys, I'm excited for everyone to learn from Steph today, whether you are a 5 or you have 5s in your life, because I have watched you radically in the last year. Because it was about a year ago. I've watched you radically shift how you live every day of your life because your identity shifted. Like, I feel like you were really, truly, a round peg trying to shove yourself into a square hole. And for some reason, figuring out your true Enneagram type just, you just sunk into the best version of yourself that God really was always calling you to be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because I think that what I realized is that the 3 that I thought I was actually a coping mechanism. And it wasn't until it came so naturally. So I assumed it was who I was, but it
Yeah.
wasn't till I actually looked back and I was like, actually, that takes a lot of energy. That's exhausting. So that can't actually be my natural self. It has to be a thing I'm doing.
It wasn't effortless to be that person, right? So,
No.
because how did you find the Enneagram?
This is my husband brought it to me
Yeah.
probably 15 years ago. And so he'll bring ideas
Long
and we
time
have
ago.
this running joke. Yeah, he'll
Because
bring
this is his career. Like what does he do?
Yes, he's a therapist, chaplain, mentor. Like he's
And
got
an
that
Enneagram 6.
amazing
He's
Enneagram
a
6.
6.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got that same thing as you,
Mhm.
just that like seeing into people. He's just
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
attuned. So he brought
Mhm.
it to me and I was like, we have this running joke where he'll bring stuff and I'm like,
Mhm.
no. And then somebody that's a friend of mine will bring it. And I'm like, oh my God, there's this thing. And he's like, I already told you about
I
that.
already
So
told
this
you
is how
about
this
that.
happened.
Yeah.
15 years ago, he brings it. I'm like, no big
Yeah.
deal. Then
So
about
the
10
6
years
who is the
ago,
loyalist and you are the 5 or the professor, the teacher, but at the time you think you're the achiever.
yep,
Just to kind of
100%.
give you all some labels. Yeah.
Yeah. So he brings, so then it comes back around about like 10 years ago and it's blowing through
Uh-huh.
a lot of people that we know. And I'm like, oh, what is this thing? Like, I need to know. And that's
Mhm.
where, and actually, funnily at the time, I think he also typed me as a 3, knowing me as well as he does, because I had morphed so fully.
Yeah, but I also think, again, if people aren't really, really deep in the Enneagram, they think that it's behavior. They think, oh, they are fun and joy. Like our friend Annie. People always think Annie, oh, oh my gosh, Annie is fun. Annie is joy. She like always has a beat to her body. Her body's always moving with the music all around her. She must be a 7. She's fun. She's fun. She's adventure. She's adventure. And I'm like, no, that's not why she's doing it. And so I think that even people who know the Enneagram forget it's not about behavior, it's about motivation. Right. So because your behavior was a 3 on steroids.
Percent.
Yeah, your
Absolutely. It
behavior.
looked like that for anybody who would have been watching, and even to him close
Mhm.
up.
Son of a
But it wasn't till, yeah, about a year ago, you and
Yeah.
I were having conversations, and it was about the Enneagram, and then human design came in kind of at that same time.
Yeah, and I've been
Um,
telling you
Not a
for a
3.
long time at this point, "You're
At this
not a
point,
3?"
not a 3. I think
Not
at some point I did get a little annoyed and I was like, "Okay, fine. Then, like, what am I? Like,
I
just tell me
know.
what I
I
am."
would send her, like, chunks and snippets of things, just like tiny little breadcrumbs, like, "I know you think you're a 3, but you're not. And
Tell you what.
here's a reason why you might not be."
Yes. So finally you were like, "Okay, I think you're a 5." And I was like, "No,
Mhm.
I'm not."
You also have a lot of 8 tendencies. I think
Yes.
that you could have typed as an
Yes.
8.
Yeah.
Like, I even entertained that for myself for you for quite a while.
Yeah. I
Mhm,
do think so. I think that that's accurate, but that's where I go in health, right? So that would
mhm.
make sense that
Security,
I'm
not
insecure, right?
healthy.
So when I'm
Security. When you feel safe and
functioning
secure in
really
your
well,
environment. Mhm.
yeah, then I would look like that.
Uh-huh.
So, but then I
Mhm.
just sat with it and I let it kind of like percolate in there for about a month or two. And I was like,
Yeah,
honestly, like I really think this is who I am. And
yeah.
what this retyping did for me is I had felt like there was this beautiful person that I was in, growing into in my college years. I
Mhm.
started into a profession that took me into this unhealthy 3 behavior.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly refound her. And it was like I could bridge all the years. And it
Yeah.
felt like, honestly, I mean, I said this before, like coming home to myself,
Mhm.
that I suddenly was like, oh my God, no, this is who I actually am. And these are some of the parts I
Mhm.
actually used to love about myself that I'd shoved down into a box to be acceptable, successful,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So reconnecting to that was huge. And you're right, since that year, I mean, my life is
yeah.
completely different
In the last year.
from, yeah,
Because let's talk about that a second, because externally, you were kicking butt and taking names and achieving really, really big things. And I think people would think like, "Oh, she's motivated to achieve. She's motivated to be successful. She's motivated." So when people look at her, they say, "She's got it together. She's good. She's awesome. She's incredible." But underneath the surface that no one, even your husband, could see, what was really going on under there that really more spoke to the 5? Because
it's funny.
who's really the resource manager?
Yeah, because as you were just saying that, I was like, oh, like that's what was going on. I don't even think I had connected it yet. It
Yeah.
was about resources.
It was
It
all
was,
about it wasn't about being seen as successful.
mm, nope.
It was about having the resources to take care of your family.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
resources to take care of my family. It was even like the social equity that then I knew was a resource, right? Like I knew enough people, was connected to
Oh
enough people. Do you know what I
my
mean?
gosh. Because that
Uh-huh.
also looks very 3-ish, like, "Oh my gosh, I know everybody, everybody knows my name," but you didn't need everybody knows my name for the fanfare, you needed it for the social equity, which then in itself is a resource.
Correct.
Jeez Pete's, girl.
Right.
Boom.
So I was building all of it there, despite the fact that it was draining every ounce of internal resource that I had
Yeah, it
to
was.
function that way.
Which is why
Uh,
you're rehabbing your little adrenal fatigued self right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And that's where, I mean, to those who are running outside of how they're designed, I mean, it literally shut my body down. Like
Yeah.
I
Lit
can't function, literally.
literally shut your body down.
Figure
And
out
one
exactly.
thing I think, thinking that you were 3, you expected out of yourself that you could go hard, kick butt, take names every day of the week.
Yes. That
And
that
what
was
we
easy.
and what we know about fives is fives wake up every day with a very fixed amount of energy. And when they are doing the things that don't light them up, it is like taking your Tesla and driving it straight up the mountain. Right? Like you could drive your Tesla on flat ground for a few hours, but you can only drive it on going straight up the mountainside. If we drove from Phoenix to Flagstaff, the battery would deplete itself much quicker. Correct? And you as a 5 operating, it's like that for anybody, but really as a 5 who wakes up with this fixed amount of energy every day, you can't bank it, right? You feel that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were living life inside of the skin of the achiever, trying to keep up with that image, was like driving your Tesla straight up a wall
Yeah.
every day of your life
Yeah.
for a decade.
And while it doesn't like the energy doesn't roll over, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
The overuse of energy absolutely rolls over.
Yeah.
And so then you
You
sit in
can't
deficit.
bank it, but the drain
Yes.
continues.
Yes. And so
But
when
also, so
you
you can't catch it up
overdrive,
very well. Like,
exactly.
isn't there a thing even in, like I would say, like literally in your Tesla, like, isn't there a thing in your Tesla that once you get below a certain part, it takes longer to charge the battery or something? Or maybe that
Uh,
Stacey Faust maybe was saying that about projectors and human
yeah.
design. Like
I mean,
once,
kind of, it can take longer, but
yeah. It's like
yeah,
once your body's energy, I think fives experience this. Once you
yes.
get below 30%, it's going to take you can't just go to sleep tonight and recharge.
No, 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 no. It's days,
Yeah.
literal days. And so running on that for over a decade, probably 15 years, like
Mm-hmm.
I just never could actually catch up.
Yeah.
And it was such an unhealthy season, an unhealthy space. And I thought that was strength, right? Showing up when you can't function, when
Yeah.
you have migraines or your body is tanked and you're like, but look at how strong I am and how I can show up. And
Because you thought you were supposed to be achieving. You thought that that was your thing. You thought that that was your identity, which is I mean, you hear me scream this constantly because you're around me a lot, that I would rather have people not know the Enneagram at all than know their wrong type. Stop taking these stupid tests.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
know how I feel about
absolutely.
that. So for you, when you feel that overwhelm and you feel so drained, now knowing you're a 5, I guess there's kind of a twofold question to this. Now knowing you're a 5, what safeguards do you have in place to try and not get overly drained? But then when you do get overwhelmed and drained, what strategies do you have to recharge your energy? Let's
That's
talk
a
about
good
what
question.
boundaries and strategies.
Yeah, the boundaries are, I mean, it took a while to figure this out. Coming out of that space was recognizing, like, I now know how many hours I can people or be out in a day or working on stuff.
Is it true?
After that limit, it
Do
just
you think
has to
it's
stop.
do you think it's people? Like it's like
It's
is it a
people, but it's
people?
also intense work focus. I mean,
Okay.
people are a lot
Yeah.
anyway, and so that's like double energy drain, if that makes sense,
That's
versus
what
working
I'm
on
going. I was wondering if do different tasks have different draining levels for you as
yeah.
a 5? Okay.
They absolutely do. And I need to compartmentalize them. So if I look at my schedule and there's a lot of peopling on it for a week, like I'm pretty stressed
Okay.
because that's a lot of energy that I know is going to come out. And then I also know I still need to show up in the other places in my life. So I've learned kind of where my limits are so that I try to schedule within those and not push past them and recognizing that. I mean, I used to just completely ignore my body altogether, but now being able to listen and go, oh, I think it's done. Like, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Even yesterday, I went through and I was like, I'm hit like 3 o'clock and I just felt like the car ran out of gas. And I was like, and we're done. I don't really care what else there's to do. We're all done. I'm going to go take care of my body. And I rested last night and I'm totally different this morning than if I had
Yeah.
kept going.
How you have 3 kids who are in the doing everything age.
Hmm.
How
And
old are they
homeschooled.
right now at this moment?
Right now, at this moment, we are 13, 14, and 17.
And a husband who does all the things.
All the things.
He has all the jobs and does all the things. Very active.
Yeah.
He's pretty social
He actually is
in
less than
comparison
I
to
am.
in comparison to us.
He's less.
But
He's
he likes to
even
do things
less.
with people.
He likes to be active. He
Mm.
doesn't actually like to be around people. That's a
But he
lot
does
for him.
like to do things. He likes to be active.
He does. And he likes to be of service. And because it
Yeah.
includes people, he goes and does that in those things. But like
Yeah.
even his core people that he loves to spend time with, like his core clan of people, they
Yeah.
work out together because there's an activity happening while he's doing the connection. It's not just
Yeah.
sitting and connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't have, I'm like, we don't have that. So
No,
that's
no,
I'm like,
God,
in
no.
comparison to us, like he definitely is, so that's what I mean. Like he does things like I'm not going to even engage in a group of friends that might cause me to then have them expect me to go to dinner with them. But he does, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I think he finds, and I honestly think this is part of his generator side is that everybody knows he can do everything, and so they keep
Mm.
asking him to do things. But
And he's a six who's a loyalist, so he does the things.
correct, but he's
Right.
infamous for hosting a party at our house and then disappearing. Like he will invite everybody over, he will make all the food, he will serve all of them and be in the kitchen the entire time, but then
Yeah.
doesn't want to actually go to or attend any party.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting in itself. So within that, how do you, having kids who are in all the things at very busy ages, your husband who is he's got all the things going on as well. He's got multiple businesses. You have multiple businesses. How are you navigating that tension between needing solitude and all of that? How are you navigating and managing that? It
It's
is
funny.
managing. It's managing. You're like, it's not navigating. It is, to you, it feels like managing, correct?
Yeah, it totally
Yeah.
does. And I
Okay.
think that I even in my other stages have been really good at
Mhm.
communicating when I need alone time.
Mm.
I even watched a video that a church we attended back in Tennessee like 10 years ago interviewed kids for, and my kids were in it. And
Yeah.
so my like 3-year-old at the time, middle child, was asked like, where does your mom want to go? She can go anywhere. Where does she want to go? And he was like, a hotel all by herself for the weekend. So my 3-year-old knew this, that is about me. So I
Your
do.
3-year-old, he had Meg there when he was 3 a decade ago. He knew it before you did.
He did. He knew. Well, I always knew I needed alone time. I just don't think I
Yeah.
registered that wasn't the 3. Like it
Yeah.
just didn't
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
But I'm very good at communicating when I need, like, I'm gonna go head down and work on something right now. So I'm not even here. Pretend like mom's not here.
Yeah.
I'm good at structuring the house in a way that there's still peace and
Mm.
quiet, even though
Okay.
everybody's here. That's
Okay.
very intentional. But I do have to build that. And then when it gets louder, overloading, that's definitely a challenge to
Yeah.
navigate because they all live here too. But I think I've built a life and a structure, and I did that from a young age when they were even homeschooled. Like we built
Yeah.
this schedule and the structure and the system so that I could function too as
Yeah.
a mom with that many
Yeah.
people in my space.
Yeah. That's right. You guys, and she even homeschools her kids. I mean, that's just a
Yeah.
whole different thing on top of that. But I do think it is a man, you are this is how I knew that you were a 5, because the way that you were able to manage the resources, you also still in your own right really kick butt and take all the names and get all the things done, but you have very masterfully designed your life to where you know how to like you strategically plan when your battery is getting recharged. Even if it's like, I'm gonna go here, you're at a work conference and you're like, I'm gonna go back to my room for an hour and just work on a little project, which is gonna excite me and build my energy. And then I'm gonna be so excited and like, recharged. And then I'm gonna go back and resubmerge myself in the mix of all the things. Right. Uh, but you also, because I think fives and eights get mistyped, I think, really frequently. Because a 5 who feels so safe and secure in their environment, they do come across as an 8. But for you, how do you feel like that you're a 5 and not an 8? What is that for you?
I do think it's the energy piece for sure. Like the more conversations we have about managing resources, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I'm doing there. And that's exactly what I'm doing there. And the need to learn and study and get information. Like I watched this with you as an 8. You're like, I know enough, run off the cliff. And I'm like,
Oh
no,
my
no, no.
gosh. Okay, you're so right. That is a huge difference between a 5 and an 8. I learned like 2% and I'm like, yep, totally cool. Got what I needed out of this book. I read the introduction. I'm good. Bye.
Yep. Yep.
And you?
I need to like learn it and like understand it and master it at a level that I'm like, oh, I get it. Like I get this and I could teach this and now like I mastered it.
It's like,
Mhm.
it's like 2 months later. She's like, oh my gosh, that book I just like devoured and absorbed. And I like and I'm like, dude, I read the intro and this one sentence, like 3 paragraphs in, it just hit me. And then I went and created this new thing and I never got the book back out again.
Yep. And I was like, wait, you didn't finish your homework? What is wrong with
No,
you?
I didn't need to finish the
No,
homework.
no. But I'm
Yeah.
learning to be better at that. Like we were reading something even the other day and I was like, this is not for me. Send it back.
Yeah.
Like it's not my
But
thing.
because I do not enjoy the art of learning.
Oh my God, I love it. Like I literally was sitting the other day and I was like, okay, if I could do anything, like let's take the lid off of anything. And what would I do for money, for not for money? Like what would I just
Put
love?
yourself in a vacuum where money doesn't
Yes.
exist. Yes, I
Yes.
said put yourself in a vacuum where money doesn't exist. Yeah.
And so I was like, I love learning. Like even for the next 2 weeks, I've got some stuff planned some courses, some things that I'm going to be going through that I want to be learning and that I can take and implement. And I'm like, I have 2 weeks of like not producing and only learning.
Yeah.
I
You would
love it.
die if you knew how many
Oh
courses I bought that I hadn't done anything with.
I know I
And it doesn't
love.
bother me though. It doesn't bother me at all that I bought an expensive course and I watched the live videos and then I never watched anything else. Or I bought the course and watched a couple of videos out of it that had what I needed and then never touched it again.
But I just
Wow.
love, like you said, like the actual act of learning. Like
Yeah,
when
you love it.
something clicks in my brain and I have this aha and this connection. It's actually the same thing I love in teaching is watching that happen in other people.
Yeah.
But I love that moment where that
Yeah.
connection and I was like, oh, that's it. That is one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then again, when you feel safe and secure in your environment, you go to that 8, but you go there in a very 5 way. And what does that look like for you?
I
You know,
think
because like
it's,
I know, like as an 8, when I feel safe and secure in my environment, I go to a 2. And what does that look like? I am very loving and I'm helpful and I'm patient and I can sit with people and I can listen to their sadness and their stories and I'm very helpful,
yeah,
right? Like
I
that's
would
what it looks
agree.
like for me. You know that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does that 5 who feels safe and secure in that environment look like? Going to an 8 look like for you?
I think it just becomes stronger and more detached. Like I'm willing to say my thing. I'm willing to speak up for what I need. I've definitely become a defender of other
Yeah.
people. Like that gets a little bit stronger, but I have less care about the thoughts of everybody else and a little
Oh,
more of just this is who I am and take it or leave it. I still love you, like it's great, but this is who I am in the world. And so I think it comes in being able to set boundaries, being that stronger because I very much am a strong opinionated
yeah.
personality.
But
It
you
just
just share it without worry?
yeah, I think I share it without worry in the safe places and I think that's where the security piece comes. So
Mm.
when I feel insecure spaces, I'm unafraid to come out and say the thing that I think and be strong in that way because it feels secure.
Yeah. Do you worry less about managing your resources when you're in that 8 zone of feeling less, feeling safe and secure? Or is that part of it? Like when you've got your resources managed so well,
Hmm.
you feel safe and secure, and then you can say the things and do the things and really.
I think that's part of it. So, like, even in the safety, when I'm thinking in relationship,
Yeah.
I know that me being the stronger, more authentic, honest version of myself
Yeah.
is not going to take any resources away in that relationship. It's no longer a threat to the resources. Does that make sense?
Because the relationship itself is a resource.
And it's, yes, it's that
Yeah.
connection, it's that home, it's that space, it's the emotional, it's the place to process, it's all of those things. And
Yeah.
there are relationships that do not have that safety.
Yeah.
And therefore, if I behaved in that way, if I came across in that way, would have a drain on resources and I
Yeah.
would lose connection.
Okay, so my innate 8, who formerly would just raise a middle finger and blow up the relationship
I have
without a
some of that
care,
in me.
without a care, who then was like, okay, maybe we should stop doing this. And so then instead of just being myself and standing in my 8 and being like, screw you, bye, you're dumb, see you later, delete. Like I was famous for deleting people out of my life. So then when I was like, oh, I shouldn't delete people, but then I got stressed because I didn't know what to do. And I would go to that 5 and I'm like, oh, I know what you're saying. I would think about, okay, but if I lose this relationship, I also lose this stuff. And I don't want to lose,
Yep. Because
I don't
that's
want to
some
lose
of the
this.
resources I've stockpiled to keep myself safe.
Yeah, I don't want to lose this resource. I see where you think of it, which I know anybody listening that has no attachment to a 5 whatsoever is like, well, that sounds very transactional. Well, it is.
Well, because everything is a math problem. Like
Yeah,
everything is literally an
yeah,
equation to move
yeah,
from here to here because it's
yeah.
how we function in the world. It's how we understand
Mhm.
all of the emotional, relational data that's very exhausting sometimes.
Yeah,
We had to make it into a formula or something that was easier to understand to navigate all of that. So
yeah.
it can feel transactional, but for me especially, it's survival. It's how I can
Mhm.
function in a world that feels like a lot. So it's not trying to be transactional in a way that is unloving.
Mhm.
It's a literally, I'm trying to feel safe and navigate.
Well, and it just is what it is. It's just how you feel, which brings up the funny of you actually don't feel that much, but you do have a lot of thoughts about your feelings.
So it's interesting. And I think this is a place
You remember
people
the
can,
first time I was like, you just have a lot of thoughts about your feelings.
I
That's
think I
about
was
it.
having a conversation with my daughter too. And we were like, I think this and I think that. And you were like, this is the most 5 conversation I've ever heard in my life.
I
Because
was
we
like,
all
you have
thought about our
so many
feelings.
thoughts about how you feel.
Like literally. Anytime I'm in conversations about how I feel like, well, I think this, I think that.
Yeah.
And therapist husband, how do you
Yeah.
feel? I don't even know how I feel. I think this.
You know what I can tell you is when I was in my period of deep, deep, deep stress, and I remember while I was in this, I went into like this deep coaching therapy program where I had a coach and a therapist in this program. But then outside of that, I also had another coach and mentor, a spiritual coach and mentor. And I remember her saying, it's so interesting. All of a sudden, you've switched from this is how I think this, I think that, to I feel this, I feel that. And what I know now, because this was a decade ago, what I know now is I'm like, oh my gosh, that was when as an 8, I stopped living in my 5, where I'd built a mansion with a moat, and I felt safe and secure enough to go to that too. And I could feel about something.
Yeah. There's definitely something in that I think in the security, having attachment to that, like you can feel the feelings.
Yeah.
But this is the thing I would say for the people who have 5s in their lives.
Yeah.
We can look like a robot,
Mm.
but we have the deepest, sometimes most overwhelming feelings. We
You
actually
can wing
feel,
to a 4. You wing to the 4. You wing to the rainbow of emotions.
listen, and they're big. They're big and they can be overwhelming. And when I was younger, I didn't know how to manage that. I didn't have the tools to do that.
Yeah.
And then I went through a stage where I just like shoved them all in boxes, which, is
Mm.
super healthy and works until they
Mm.
explode all over the place. And now I'm learning to feel the feelings and allow them to have their space. But again,
Mm.
that's in a security space because I've created
Mhm.
my own security within myself that has nothing to do with external.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now I can feel the feelings.
so you definitely feel when your wing 4 is coming up with the
Oh my gosh,
feels.
yes. Yeah.
Do you feel the wing 6 where you're a loyalist, but also you can do a little bit of that like doomsday spiraling, fixating thing?
It's funny because I can, but it's also very different than my husband's 6. And I think that's just the primariness of it versus the winging into
Mm.
it.
Oh
But I
yeah.
can,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, your husband is a pure 6.
So his is like, I need to solve every single possible negative scenario and have an answer to it, and then I can
Yeah.
move forward. And
Doomsday prepping. It's doomsday prepping at life.
I move faster than that. I'm like, it's more like that comparison with you and I reading stuff. I'm like, oh, I have enough information. Like, I'm going to go ahead and jump and move. I can make bigger
Yeah.
um, mental leaps than he can,
Yeah.
bigger jumps to a conclusion. But where I think mine comes into, it's over analyzing. So it's not even like
Mm.
worst case scenario. It's just I got to solve and figure out the math problem and all of the things
Well, it causes you
to
to
move
see everything
forward.
that can go wrong. I mean, that's
Yes.
where it comes up for you is it causes you to see everything that can possibly go wrong. So your 5 goes into the ultimate researching mode. I mean, the difference too between your 5 and your 5 is thinking about all the things and the theories and the concepts. And when you feel safe and secure enough in your environment, then you move into the 8, into the doing, and you actually start acting on all of your thoughts and your theories. And this is how I know, this is how I've got this friend in my life that she is so insistent she's an 8, and I'm like over fighting her on it, so I just entertain her on it. But I've always felt to my core that she was a 5 because I watch her live in the theory so much. But when she's in the environments where she feels so safe and secure in who she is, I watch her kick butt and take names. She goes into the doing, but she really lives in the theory. Not out of stress, out of just who she is. She loves learning, she loves attracting information, she loves talking about concepts and theories and w- information and charts and what you should do and if you and she like all the math equations of if you did this much and then this would happen and I'm like nobody gives a rip, just go do it.
Literally all of them.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's another difference between a 5 and an 8 is you really genuinely enjoy the theories and the strategizing and the math and I'm like, how fast can I get through this and just go do the thing? And I would rather just like go do a lot of the thing, knowing that I'm gonna get where I want to go.
And I think that's very interesting because I think for the 5,
Yeah.
we do like to do the thing, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes
Yeah,
from,
when you feel safe and secure that your numbers are right.
yeah. And there's also the like the practice, right? We've learned as entrepreneurs to do the
Yeah.
thing even when it's not clear and it's not. So I think there is some training that's built in there,
Yeah.
but the 5 in their brain, and at least in mine,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing it more efficiently because somebody's just leaping off a cliff. And if I just took 5 more seconds to finish out the math problem and look at the equation, I'd go, oh, actually, the fastest route is here. And I just
Yeah.
saved myself 2 years of trying stuff out, of just guessing, because I actually looked at the strategy and the intention ahead of it.
But you
So,
genuinely do love the theories, right?
yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, of course. Like
Yeah.
just to talk
I
about,
mean, because I'm
yeah.
not a 7, so I'm not a 7. Like, so I don't judge. I do, like, you know what? We have this joke in our family. Like, my brother's the 6, so he like really just he reads all of the instructions. So my mom always
Yeah.
says, like, if you took 3 grills that are in a box from the store and you put it in front of my 3 kids, Adam the 6 is going to open up the box, spread out all the pieces, read all of the instructions. Chelsea is going to like look at the photos on the instructions, look at the photo on the box, know where she needs to go and put it together. I'd probably put all the pieces out too, just so I know where they're all at. And then Brett is just he's gonna put it together twice. He's gonna put it together once, realize it's not quite right, take it apart and put it back together. Again, just very absolutely leaping, no thinking. That's how he figures out life. Um, but I feel like y'all like really like the theory. You enjoy the theory.
Like just to have, there was some conversation that I was having in like a mom's group the other day, and we were talking about kids and the internet and just the struggle that is for moms with teenagers right now. And I made this comment about like the historical changes that had happened between the generations, and this is how we ended up
Mm,
here. And like, isn't it so cool that for the first time in history, we have parents who can see their kids' culture on the internet, whereas teen culture has always been hidden. So I'm like fascinated by this concept.
yeah.
And the whole table looks at me like I'm
Huh?
from Mars. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, we went too deep again. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
back it up. That's not what we were
Yeah.
talking about. So yes, like I love the
Yeah.
theory to
Yeah.
think through the connections and yeah, I love it.
Going to the depths. And this is where we'll be in conversation and also I'm like, "Wait, what is being said? Huh?" And I'll say to her, I'm like, okay, hold on. Go back 3 sentences and say each sentence really slow. What?
You're like dumb it down a little bit. Make it a
Yeah.
little
Huh?
simpler. Yeah.
Condense this.
Yeah.
Condense this. Like you love the true version and I'm like, "What, give me the cliff notes."
Yeah, because I'm like, you're missing the magic of these incredible ahas and learning if you didn't have all these pieces. But not everybody actually enjoys that process.
No, yeah. The other numbers don't actually enjoy the depth of that. No, they
Literally
do not.
amazing.
So, my husband's best friend Nolan is a 5, and so I always watch him. I joke about whether he's in cosmic brownie phase or RX bar phase. And so RX bar phase is when he is in his 8 and he feels safe and secure in his environment and he's like eating Whole30 and not drinking any alcohol. And then cosmic brownie phase is when he comes to visit and he wants to go pick out new beers and I should buy a box of cosmic brownies and you just never know. And so his cosmic brownie phase is more when he's in his 7 and he's being indulgent and more is more. What does that 7 look like to you when it's like not tracking your you know what I mean? Because you're not tracking your resources. You're not, yeah. What does that look like for you?
It's interesting because, and it's not, just for some of the health pieces, it's not in those areas. Like it does
Yeah,
not
yours
show
is
up
not
in
that. Yeah,
food.
because you're,
No,
yes.
it,
No,
it
but yeah,
can't.
like what does it look like for you?
So for me, it actually turns into more of like a restless behavior. So I can't be still. And so it's whether it's a whole bunch of new ideas or it's I need to run around and do a bunch of things or it gets very avoidant and very just,
You embrace because the 7 has a need to kind of be busy, buzzing, busy. An hour ago I was on here with the 7, so I'm like super hot and fresh on their personal life
yeah,
experience. You indulge the busy and the buzzing,
yep,
which then drains
regardless
you
of
and
the
wears
energy.
you out. That's terrible.
Yeah. So that's what it looks like for me. It's this like in my brain, like I have so much to do. I have so much to do. I have so much to do. And I just run around doing all the things as opposed to paying attention at all in the process of how I'm doing it because that affects the energy consumption so much. But it definitely gets into the busy for busy sake.
Mm, 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 mm. One of the 5's needs is to feel competent. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Like 100%.
How does it feel when people, so like, how does it feel when people start asking you questions that you weren't prepared to
Oh
answer?
my gosh. Okay, literally it is like this. When people talk about that nightmare, like you were at school, like in high school, totally naked, and like you have this dream. Okay, this is literally my experience. It is like a flood of cortisol of like, I don't know that answer. It's such an internal, like, it
Yeah.
makes me really uncomfortable.
Okay, so in our previous life in sales, if somebody was like, "What are the ingredients in this product?" and you didn't know, what happened to your body? Like, how did you experience
Oh,
that?
well, I didn't because I was prepared and I knew what I was going to
Oh
know.
my gosh!
So,
So I never knew the ingredient to anything ever.
yeah, I
What well, you do
knew.
you
But
do know
here's the
that?
other thing. I'm a good pattern recognizer, and so I can predict just
Yeah.
by like I needed a rule book for human behavior because it was too overwhelming for me. And so I could predict what was going to happen during this meeting. I knew what you were going to ask, I knew what I was going to say, I knew what 6 questions could possibly come up. I knew your object like I knew what was going to happen.
What?
So I was prepared. Oh my God, like your brain not everybody's brain does that.
I mean, I just don't even think about it because then if somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer, I'm like, heck, I don't know the answer. Let me text my mom or let me like Google it a
You know,
second or like
literally
let me
in
look
the
at my
meeting, I
or I'll
think I
just
know the answer to that, but I don't want to tell you wrong. So let me just check and I'll get back to you.
and I'll be like, I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? You don't even have to have a clue and you can be great.
But if I knew, like, if I knew what was going on, like I knew what you were going to say, I knew what I was going to say, I knew how long it was going to take, I knew the interactions we were going to have, I knew the energy I was going to have to bring, now it became predictable.
You know what I'm going to tell you though? This thing that you just did, that little thing right there,
Yeah.
I understand that little spirally thing, that is me in stress.
That is my daily. Let's do the math.
You think about you live in that like
Oh my God, all the
planning,
time.
planning, 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 planning.
Literally. So, you
That
do
is
the
only me in
thing.
stress. And here's what I don't think that all people recognize that as stress. Like I wouldn't say that, oh, I'm stressed and I'm doing that. I'm not saying like, oh my God, but I'm a healthy human. I've done the work. Like I don't like stress doesn't look usually it's kind of I'll have like serious digestion issues and I'm like, I must be stressed. What's going on? Because it doesn't affect me like normal people, but I do know what you're talking about with that.
Yeah. I mean, even think like in my 7 to stress, like I just look hyper productive. you wouldn't look at that person and be like, oh, you're stressed. I'm like, no, I got all the things done,
Do you
regardless
even
of.
really recognize that you're stressed?
I do, because it becomes this frenetic energy inside, and it feels very like I have that thought over and over again. I have so much to do, so much to do, so much to do. And I'm overly focused on getting from thing to thing to thing and
Mm,
not being in the moment.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's that same way, you do like your time math, right? You're like, I have to be here at this time, so I'm
Oh,
gonna eat at
yeah.
this time. Like everybody does
Yeah.
that. But
I
I
do that
do,
when my day is too packed.
right.
Well, I mean, yes.
When you're leaving your house.
I overanalyze it when I've packed my day too much.
Yeah.
I overanalyze it.
But that's
Uh,
literally like every part of looking at my day, going,
and
okay,
it's not in a
today,
bad way. It's just how you face
no,
the day. It's not a bad way at all. You're just
no,
like, oh no, this
it
is what
has
I
to
do.
plan.
This is just like how I live life.
Yep.
And do you like it? Like it excites you to be able
I think when I'm in a
to
healthy life space, it does.
to efficiently manage your time. You're like, oh my gosh, I kicked butt and
Yeah.
took names today, and this was so
Yeah.
great, and I executed everything so well, and look at
Yeah.
me.
I mean, when there are those days, I'm like, yes. Like, honestly, when I make my coffee in the morning and my breakfast, I literally get annoyed if I didn't walk the most efficient path to do it.
Okay, you talking about that? I used to do all those things. There was a time period of my life where I did all of that, and I don't do that anymore. And I'm like emotional hearing you say that because you're doing that in the good space. But I don't do that anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was doing that because I was living on the island of my five stress with the moat and the sharks and the alligators around it. Interesting. But yours is for good. Like yours is a
Yeah.
greatness part of it. It's
Yeah. And
efficiency.
it is. And it's part of what is my zone of genius too, right? Like I can look into any structure and go, oh, if we tweak this one thing,
Yeah.
everything will work.
Well, that's what you do with clients. So you are able to look at clients' business structures and identify where they can be more efficient with better systems.
Yep. Exactly. But it's so obvious to my brain
Hmm.
where it's not to everybody else. And so
Yeah.
that's where it's that strength piece versus when you're going to it in stress.
Well,
It
and you
is,
see details that other people just don't see.
yeah, 100%.
Like I just don't even, I mean, you know this thing. If I can't find something in 30 seconds, I call Kobe to just tell me where it's at
Right.
or to find it. Or like I'll harness his energy and then I can find it.
Yeah.
You know, I lost the mail key. For 3 days, I lost the mail key. Couldn't tell him. And I knew the last time I used the mail key was I put Chloe in the car and we drove to the mailbox, which sounds a little ridiculous, but it was too hot and I didn't want her to walk. And I knew there was a bunch of packages. So I'm like, let's just drive around the corner to the mailbox. So I knew the last time I went and got the mail, I was in the car. And my car is always clean. I love cleaning my car. And I could not find the mail key. And I was like so determined that I wasn't going to admit this to him, but then I had to because I had to get Aaron's book out of the mail and read it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't find the mail key. And he's like, when was the last time you went to the mail? I said, Chloe and I drove. I swear on all of the things. He literally looked at me, turned around, walked into the garage, opened the car door, looked at the tiny itty bitty console, the one that's like right there in front of your main console, and picks it up out of there. Actually moved my chapstick, grabbed the key, put the chapstick back, and came in. It was under the chapstick.
I can't tell you how
In my
often,
defense, it was the big fat chopsticks that we use, but like still.
how
He
often
knew.
I do that for my entire family.
You do that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate Kobe. I
And then
appreciate
why,
you.
but why?
But
The
I
mail.
can't do that. Like I cannot see those things. So that's what I'm saying. Like your genius in being able to find this itty bitty mail key, even in this giant car that even is clean, and I can't see it, is like, well, bang. It's
Yeah.
why people need you.
Yeah, that's it. That's when I can see into those spaces.
Mhm.
But then also it's literally setting up the systems that like in our house, the mail key goes under this little plant that is on the side table by the front door. And
Yeah.
like
We even
why
have a place for the mail key.
but I'm
I
like,
just
why would we not put it there? It's where it
But I
goes.
just don't put it back. You want to know why? Because I
Why?
get so excited about what is in the mail that it doesn't make it back to the drawer. It
Oh my
literally,
gosh.
we like tie. Okay, so after that, there was always this string tied to it. Now it is on a huge, giant, bulky keychain that can go like with those little balls that go around
Yeah.
your wrist.
Yeah. You know
Can't
what I
lose it
realized
now.
as you were saying that? I was like, but if you just put it where it goes, you would save yourself so much energy
Mhm.
later.
But I just get so excited about what was in the mail that then I forget about putting it back. It's kind of like with Kelly when I go to restore and I put water all over the sink and she's like, "Why don't you just wipe it up like as you're washing your hands?" And I'm like, "Because I'm so excited about what I get to do when I leave that restroom, I forget that there's even water involved." I'm
Yeah.
just so excited to go, but I'm like so excited to go do the doing that I forget what is happening.
Because you're not managing resources. But of course, it makes sense for me for the mail key to go back to where it was because that saves me energy later. Why would I not do the thing that saves me energy anywhere that I can so that I have more when I need it?
I used to be so much better at this when I was in adrenal fatigue, but now that I'm rested, I just am not that good at those things anymore. Isn't that the wildest thing? But I really was really, really great. But kind of like you though, it was coping mechanisms. It was all coping mechanism. And I absolutely, if I had taken a test, I probably would have tested it as a 5 and I would have believed it because externally that just make a lot of sense. This is another reason a lot of people mistype. It's like, well, what's going on in your life? And then when we had that really bad experience where we took care of our friend's kid and kept him alive for a few years, woo wee, I was all up in that 5, managing resources 24/7, just because they were stressful, so I was stressed, and so I lived in like resource management. Um, mm, mm. Okay, as a 5, here's another thing that's not that fun for you: vulnerability. How do you how do you approach vulnerability, and what needs to happen for you to feel safe enough to open up?
Yeah, so this is a funny one for us in our marriage. We had an argument very early on. And because I would tell people like stuff that's going on in our lives, and I'm like, I will like literally tell you anything. And he was so like that was such a boundary cross for him, like to share the information what was going on in our lives. He's like, why are you telling everybody this? And at the
Do you
time
think that was a therapist in him or the counselor? Like
no, he
what?
wasn't even at that point. This is early. But what we realized, we didn't know Enneagram then. We didn't know
Yeah.
any of the things then.
Well, when a 6 is stressed, they go to a 3, so appearance mattered. There you go. Boom.
So I came back and we didn't understand why we didn't understand each other. And I was like, listen, I will tell you anything,
Mhm.
but I will not show you my crazy. That vulnerable, deep, real, raw spot. So I will tell you all the stories and they're crazy stories. And absolutely, I will say all the things. But to actually see like the emotion, first of all, like I hate crying in front of people. So the emotion, first of all, but the real raw doubts, uncertainty, questioning, that real vulnerable space, that requires safety and it
Yeah.
requires a proven track record of safety.
Well, because is it also like if I show this person completely who I am, I run the risk of losing them and they are a resource.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I live in me. Like it's a lot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
thoughts. There's
Yeah.
a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. And so there have been many experiences
Yeah.
that was overwhelming to someone else.
I think it's really hard to be a 5. So think about it. A 5 has a lot of thoughts going on at all times. A 4, where you can wing, has a lot of feelings. Like a 4 has the most amount of feelings, a 5 has the most amount of thoughts, and a 6 has the most amount of anxiety. I mean, I don't envy you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Welcome to this space.
what?
I said welcome to this
Yeah,
space.
I don't envy you.
Great.
Nope, thanks.
But it's when I can find, and these are rare places now that
Mm.
I can fully be me.
Yeah. And do you feel like it's important? Like if
Oh
you
my
could go
gosh.
talk to Steph 15 years ago, would you tell her you need to find your people
Yeah.
to
Well, and I
fully
think
be you?
I knew it. I knew it then. I was never a large group of friends people. I was a core one or two that I could actually be fully vulnerable
Mm.
with.
Relator
Um,
is high for you in your strengths finder, huh? In
I don't
Gallup?
I don't know. I remember we'd looked at that. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
low 10, but maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's up there. Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. So I think if I would have told her then, it is important, but it is also important to vet who's actually safe and who's actually emotionally mature enough to
Mm.
handle the space in a way that's
Yeah,
wise.
absolutely.
So I do have spaces now and they're rarer spaces, but where I can be in the fullness of the feelings,
Yeah.
the fullness of the thoughts. And even
Yeah.
if they don't get it, like even if they're like, I can't track with all this stuff, like tell me all your thoughts. It's great. But having
Yeah.
those full spaces, I think has been one of the most healing things for me.
Yeah.
because it makes me feel like I'm not too much. It
Mm.
makes me, of course, I'll get emotional on camera. Dang you, Chelsea. But it makes me feel like I can fully be myself and
Yeah.
that that is a wonderful thing to be
Mm.
and not the message of too much. So it's just, I think it's vital.
Yeah. I have the only of this little NES spring going into summer series, the only types that I haven't talked to are now. Well, actually, I, I basically talked to all of them about this pretty much because I guess I am my own eight. I haven't done the eight or nine, but I'm married to the nine and I am an eight. I haven't done theirs. But this is what I can tell you is every single Enneagram type has talked about how they feel like they're too much for people. And so I'm going, oh my gosh. At the end of the day, every single person in their own right with their own idiosyncrasies has been made to feel like their needs are just too much.
I
Because
think that
within,
alone is very healing to just know that it's not actually me.
no,
It's a human
it
experience.
is the human experience. Every human experiences this. I am just too much. I'm too much for the people that I love. I'm too much, or they've been. And I think as an eight, I had to get to this place where I realized there are a lot of people in the world that have deep trauma and wounds and brokenness that needs to be healed. And every day of the week, my my eight is always too much for people who have deep insecurity. Because I was kind of born with this, like I've got my own stuff, right, where I feel like I'm too much. But I do have this like innate laissez-faire of life of confidence, and that is always too much for people who have a lot of insecurity. So I think even eights, like even we feel that like I'm too much.
But I think that's an important point in that it's those who are emotionally not healed, who trauma
Yeah.
are unhealed, like
Yeah.
those people, because then it's not
It doesn't make them bad. I'm not saying it
no,
makes them bad. They just haven't done the work yet that a lot of us have had to do already. You
yeah.
know.
But then it's just
Yeah.
not about me,
Yeah,
right?
it's
It's
not
about
you're bad and I'm good or I'm bad and you're good. It's just like where you are at in life and where I am at in life at this very current moment. And I remember, you know about this like friendship that I lost that was very public. They very publicly threw me to the wind, but didn't have one single conversation with me. It was so hurtful. And now look, and I was so confused because I'm like, oh my gosh, I was literally working with like four therapists a week. I don't understand like what? And I do think that my exploding self-assurance, security in who I was and confidence was making the light on their insecurity bigger by the day. But I couldn't like I didn't understand that in the moment. And I think today I can go, oh, it wasn't, it really was that.
it wasn't me or anything I needed to change or adjust, and I was not too much.
Mm-mm,
They didn't have the capacity to hold
mm-mm.
that. And again, good or bad, we're not saying that,
No,
but
no, yeah, no, good about it. It's just like where she was in that moment of her life. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's anybody that's when you're doing the hard work and you're actively growing, you know how I feel about actively growing. You're working with a coach, you're working with a therapist, you're having somebody help you see your blind spots. When you are doing that kind of difficult work, not just listening to the podcast and reading the book, that's passive growth. When you're doing that kind of hard work, there are going to be a lot of people in your life that they don't like that new version of you because it is causing it's just becoming you're here at the end of the day. Here's the deal: everything has a frequency, right? This microphone has a frequency, this pen has a frequency, my body has a frequency. And so you are elevating and shifting your frequency. Your body's no longer vibrating at that same place. We know that the emotions of shame, guilt, joy, they all have a different frequency. It's scientifically proven. And when you shift your frequency, you're now having a grinding frequency with that person in your life.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
you just need to go, either they need to do it with you or you're going to have to go find somebody with a different frequency, right? Okay, so before we go, we're going to touch on just a couple common conflict activators, which is like triggers. They call it activators, but basically it's triggers. How to get under the skin of a five. Being given overwhelming tasks. Is it like a resource drain?
No, it's probably that like this is a stupid task. Why did we not consider how to do this more effectively? Like this is, do you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you give
Oh,
me all of that work? That doesn't make sense.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. There's breaking confidentiality or being dishonest.
Oh my. So when we talk about like you're like a cutter offer, like
Uh-huh.
I can do that in relationships. I'm learning to be better.
Uh-huh.
But that's an audit. Like we're done. We're done. That's over.
Yeah. No longer can trust you. You are not safe to
No,
manage the resources of life with me.
you and have proven that you are untrustworthy, and we're nope,
Yep.
not doing that
Bye.
again. Yeah.
Okay. Being surprised, intruded on, and obligations being placed on you. Y'all
I
just
like
laughing.
I like good surprises because they're like I like them. What was the second one? Intruded upon?
Intruded on and
Literally
obligations placed
one
on
of the
you.
fastest ways I can feel rage. Like when I am working on a project and the door is shut and somebody comes in to my space when I'm trying to, I can lose it so fast.
So it
And
also
then
says when others do not honor their need for privacy to recharge and process their thoughts. Is that
correct.
all in there? It's like the
Yeah.
door's shut and I'm working, the door's shut and I'm processing, the door's shut and I'm recharging.
Yes, like literally, I needed to be by myself. I think the other day everybody's home right now. My daughter's usually at college, but everybody's home. And there was a day where I literally could not go find a space to shut a door to do something I needed to do that required a quiet space with a
Yeah.
closed door. And I was like losing it because I was like, I've
Uh-huh.
nowhere to be, like nowhere to go be by myself.
Yeah.
And then the obligations being put on you. That was that other one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like,
Well, okay. And do you agree with me that a five who has kids and a five who does not have the kids, a five who has a husband who needs them a lot, and a five who has a husband who's wildly independent, you might not feel all of these things the same because you have so much of your, what is that called? Autonomy?
yeah, you'll feel it from different places. So we are wildly autonomous, the two of us. Like we
Yeah.
function really, really well that way.
Yep.
The same way my kids were built in that. Like I built a life that I do not have to manage all the things. Drives me crazy when I
Yeah.
do. But when something is pushed upon me as
Yeah.
an expectation, it's
Mhm.
the expectation. Like
Yeah.
you didn't even check to see if I was available or okay with that. You just said you
Yeah.
need to take care of this.
But
Yeah.
like the amount of time that you need to recharge and talking about how you can be drained, do you feel like you as a five who has a husband and kids and all these things, do you feel like it might, like somebody might go, oh, well, I don't experience that as much as her. I don't know if I'm a five, but that be like, okay, but you don't have, no
Yes.
offense, but like you don't have kids or, you and your husband you kind of like live your own lives and come together when you want to come together and you have family, but like you see them, it's like you don't have people living in your space every single day.
Yeah.
Like you live in
100%.
a house with four other people. So I
Yeah.
think that you experience that energy drain differently than somebody who doesn't.
Yes, 100%. I was trying to explain this to my husband. Like when
Yeah.
somebody comes into the house, like they don't even have to be loud or doing anything. Their
Yes.
energy is there. And
Yes.
that's a lot. So there's seasons when my husband will
Yeah.
take the kids and go visit his family in Northern California, and I will stay
Yeah.
home with the dogs because house to myself.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you? And I
Yeah.
have noticed I actually get kind of extroverted then. I like
Well,
will
I've
talk.
noticed that about you.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go hang
Yeah.
out. Let's go do
You're like
things.
a different version of your five.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's
But I
not the
think
constant energy taking, and it's not, I don't want to say drain in a bad, like I love my husband and kids. I think it's
it's not drain.
choice.
It just is. It just is what it is.
Yes. So
It's
it's
just,
energy consumption
yes.
that it takes to be around this many humans and helping and managing this many
Yes.
humans.
Or when they're gone, you're going to look so different.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that. Okay. So, what advice do you have for people who have a five that's a friend or that live with a five?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely letting them honor that space, like asking what they need. And I feel like that's a no matter what type you live with, like, what do you need? How can I show up for you in a way that's supportive? But like,
Yeah.
my husband doesn't get that. He gets it and he doesn't. Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
experience it himself, but he understands
Mhm.
and fills this need for me. But I need to be alone in my own house by myself.
Yeah.
This is my safety space. There's
Mm.
less visual input because I'm familiar with the space and I need to be here alone. So he will,
Oh.
when I'm getting overloaded, and I will say, like, I literally cannot be alone. He will take my daughter when she's at school, he'll take my boys
Mhm.
to the skate park. They will go for hours. He will
And
walk
do
and
their thing.
exercise and do their
Yeah.
thing and allow me to be home by myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's
You know,
as
Kobe needs that. My nine.
yeah,
He needs
it's
that.
it's huge. Like, I
Yeah.
really it makes me function better. So I think it's we all need to communicate what we need clearly and
Mhm.
not passive
Mhm.
aggressively because then we can meet each
Yeah.
other and ask
Yeah.
what do they need, but also understand that they need, and this is something that's challenging for me. I need to tell the story. So when I'm trying to tell you about the thing that happened and the ebbs and the flows and we learned this and this happened, like it
Because it's the
feels
details.
it's the details because there was something magical that happened when you touched all these details. But the people that just need to hear, like, well, what are the facts? Like, what are you trying to tell me? What are you? And I'm like,
The cliff notes.
just go on the ride with me. I promise it's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
And you will get to experience what I just experienced. And there's beauty in those details that others are missing.
Yeah.
So be
Nines
willing
have
to
a little
hear.
bit of that as well. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell y'all for non-fives, I don't find beauty in any of the details of my five and nine stories, but they find so much beauty in telling it that I find the beauty in the joy that they get telling it. So just let them tell it.
That's it.
It's really that. Like, I actually don't care about the details, but I know that the details are important to them. So I figure out in my own brain how
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 to
to
do the
get
thing.
on the ride, how to do the
Right?
ride. Yeah.
Right. And I think you're really good too at asking, like, do you need
Mhm,
feedback in this? Do you need me to
mhm,
just listen? Do you need me to? So I think that piece is helpful.
mhm,
But honestly, the level of seenness
mm,
and validation and pure I just keep coming back to the word seen, but
mhm,
pure joy that happens for us when
mm.
somebody does that is literally like
And
we
y'all's just
f-
in your details.
yes, but we feel so seen and heard and validated,
Yeah.
and it becomes this space for us that we're like, oh my god, like how much time can I spend in that space because it feels amazing to be
Yeah.
heard and listened to
Yeah.
in a way that not everybody takes the time to.
Yeah.
So it's wildly impactful.
I have an uncle that is a five, and I only get to I see him like once a year, like really see him. But I know this, this the deep details thing. And so
It's a magical like, and here's the thing, a five will see the synchronicity
Mhm.
that is happening within the universe that you might miss.
Yeah,
And so even if
absolutely.
like the details are not important, if you tracked it, you might go, holy crap, that was a crazy like show up of God in the universe. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
seeing things that you could be missing, and
Hmm.
they just want to invite you to see the magic that they're seeing too.
Yeah. It's really just that. So for you in that, what permission would you want to give to our fives?
I would say find your spaces that honor you in that
Mm.
way and stop trying to be smaller or not too much.
Absolutely.
Stop trying to
Absolutely.
shrink in those ways because when you find the spaces that love you for that energy, for the way that you show up, that value what you bring to the table in that way, the way that you see that is your magic,
Yeah.
those spaces are the spaces you need to be in. And a five doesn't need very many of them because
Hmm.
they are so deep, but find those
Yeah.
because then you will learn and transform and grow in completely different ways
Yeah.
because you have the space to really drop into that security and learn who you are in that space.
And knowing that they're there. They are there. And if you think they're not, they are. And if you think, I
100%
think
on.
if you think that they're not there, then that's a deserve level thing. You don't think that you probably deserve to find those people. But when you can raise your deserve level to realize like, not only do they exist, but you deserve to have those people that will create that space for you, then they'll suddenly appear.
Yeah. I mean, even think
Absolutely.
about like for us, how many years we were in the same circles, like
Like
very close.
very same circles.
Yeah.
Very
Like
same circles.
I the other day went back and looked on your Instagram and I was like, I
Yeah.
wonder if I like look back 10 years ago, if I'd recognize her from like 10
Yeah.
years ago, you know, like
Yeah.
we were literally in the same circles, but the
Mhm.
alignment of when that space came together
Mhm.
was so perfect and
Yeah.
just, it was
We've
ready
even
for
lived
that season.
here for a while.
Yes. Like near each other for a while,
Yeah.
for
Yeah. I
years.
actually really lived near you for a few
Yes.
years.
And we like knew that,
Yeah. Like
but
down the street. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So tell them the 10-second elevator. What do you do? You create.
I do. I am a diagnoser. So
Yeah.
I help you figure out exactly what is broken in the
Yeah. But
system
like
of
AI and tech and
yeah.
systems
So
and
it's
all the.
really it's tuning into that. So finding,
Yeah.
is it the offer? Is it the sales system? Is it that, but the genius
Mhm.
too in building AI
Yep.
and systems and tech and automation so that your business can really run on autopilot and give you true time freedom. But my genius is getting in there and finding the little thing you didn't even know was off. And
Yeah.
if we tweak this, the whole system works and you don't need to overhaul the whole thing.
Yeah. The flow will be better. And
Yeah.
where do people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's a great place. You can also go to the
Yep.
website. There's places
Yep.
to work with me there.
Yep.
But either one.
Yeah. We've got all the links in the show notes, y'all. They're there. Look down below. They are all there. And of course, if you are subscribed to our Excellence Edit, you will also receive the email today that talks about Steph's top must-haves as an Enneagram 5, the things that Enneagram 5s cannot live without, in her
Very
personal
good.
opinion. I know. She's like, there's a lot of things actually. So definitely run to your email, run to the Excellence Edit that comes to your email and read about that. Well, thank you so much. I feel like fives keep to themselves because they're managing their resources. And I think that finding about fives out there on the internet is less than a lot of the other types. So thanks for jumping on here today and being vulnerable, giving us your time and your resources and your genius, and sharing all the deep details with us. That we
Absolutely.
that I really hope if you are not a five, but you have a five in your life, listen to this a few times because I want you to hear what she's saying underneath what she's saying. And I think that that's the most important part. So,
Honestly, like go find a five. Like if
yeah,
you don't have a five in your life, go get
yeah,
one.
go
Like
get one. Go get
we're
one. I know
highly valuable.
I've got three that I talk to a lot
Mhm.
that I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, a lot. Like I talk to a lot. So, all right. Mm. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know several. So, thank you, friend, for jumping on and giving to the people. All right, Excellence fam. Thanks for coming back. You guys know next week we're going to be back here talking to the sixes. We will have my friend Brittany, who is my Dr. Brittany friend, who keeps me alive. That when I am throwing myself off all of the cliffs, she is making sure that I'm getting caught before I splat at the bottom in my health arena. So, thank you again, All Things Excellence fam, for listening, and can't wait to have you back next time.
Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.